Prakash. I am the Senior Campaign Coach for the Divestment Student Network, and I'm going to be one of your facilitators for this call. I'm really happy to see a lot of you on here and can't wait to get started. But before we do, I'm going to kick it to Katie and Greta to introduce themselves as well, who will be supporting me with facilitation. Let's start with Katie.
Hi folks, sorry I'm not joining you by video. My name is Katie McTruckney. I work with 350.org as our North American Divestment Campaign Manager and have worked for a long time with schools who have been planning action and escalation in the divestment movement. So excited to join with you to celebrate all that fine work.
And I'm Greta. I'm at the Divestment Student Network as well, and have been in the divestment movement for going on 5 years, and super glad to be able to do some reflection and celebration with you all.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul. So we have a few people on this call, so let's actually maybe just take a minute or two to just write down who you are in the chat box, if you see it, who you are, maybe where you're from, and what you've been working on. And we don't have the time to go through and hear from everybody, but I'd love to just sort of see where people are coming from. Okay, so as those sort of trickle in, I'm going to get going on the rest of our stuff. So the purpose of this call is just going to be to celebrate a lot of the work that we've done this year, celebrate the People's Climate March, where hundreds of thousands of people came together in the streets of Washington, D.C., and hear some stories from campus leaders about this political moment and the organizing and escalation that they've done over the last year. And also to have a conversation about the role of campus organizing in this political moment and what's possible and where we're expanding and moving. And as the year's wrapping out and we're getting ready and looking forward to new things coming up, we also want to share some resources for people to continue doing their work. So let's get into it. So this last year, we faced some pretty historic adversity, I would say. And I would also say that young people have risen pretty solidly to meet this challenge. Right after Donald Trump's inauguration, we had walkouts on 20 campuses in defiance of Trump's climate denialism and hate. And from there, we started bringing the fight to our administrations and our campuses. And once again, over the last spring, have had an incredible spring escalation with actions on over 10 campuses across the country, from sit-ins to walkouts to marches, from Colorado University with the CU Boulder campaign to Pennsylvania with Swarthmore Mountain Justice. We had 4 University of California actions in 2 weeks. We had actions in Montana. We had actions all over the country, and it was really, really inspiring to see it and see people take risk that they had never taken before because they understood the stakes of this political moment right now. And what they said was impossible actually happened this year. Like, Harvard University committed to divestment. CEOs of major fossil fuel corporations admitted that negative public opinion for the fossil fuel industry was the single greatest threat to that industry. Hundreds of thousands of people came together in the streets for the People's Climate March, and many more have pledged to resist the fossil fuel industry and Trump's fossil fuel agenda every step of the way. I think it feels really clear to me right now that the divestment movement has played a serious role this year and every year preceding it in putting the wealthiest industry in the history of the world on the ropes. And I think we've built real power. Katie, you want to talk about the last 5 years?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think you said it really well for what this year has looked like. And looking back at the last 5, I think we can see the same kind of action, escalation, time and time again, from the initial wave of administrators telling students no and students rejecting that denial of action to countless sit-ins and protests that have been sweeping the country, and the total of $5 trillion globally divested. So I think we've seen huge impacts of the fossil fuel divestment movement in the financial sector, and also through the thousands and hundreds of leaders that have been trained and mobilized across the country.
Totally. Thank you. And so now I want to kind of kick it to some students in the movement who've been really grinding this past year, and who have had big actions, especially in the last few weeks. So I will pass it to Aru from Swarthmore College first to tell us a little bit about their escalation this past year and their campaign.
Yeah, so my name's Aru. I'm a rising sophomore at Swarthmore. Yeah, this was a really busy and exciting semester for us. I think we saw like more support than we've ever seen before, and it culminated in the end of the year with a week-long sit-in in our president's office, something that the school before had cracked down on student protesters who had been in office, and this time they just completely backed down. And it was really exciting to see, because I think we, especially towards the middle of the sit-in, one of our top leaders was graduating, and what I saw was more and more people who had previously been on the fringes of the movement stepping up and becoming part of the core, more and more people who maybe had been part of coordinating, taking a bigger role, taking more responsibility. And I think there was a time when I was a little bit worried about like where the divestment movement was going on our campus. It felt exhausted. It felt like we'd been doing this for 7 years. And by the end of this semester, I felt like, no, the campus was coming together and the campus was standing behind us on this issue. And it was incredibly powerful. And I think along those lines, the thing that came out most strongly from this semester was not to underestimate support, which is a mistake that we made this semester and that I'll be sure not to do again. Earlier, midway through the semester, the administration decided to cite 5 students for peacefully protesting, for engaging in the sit-in. And the campus was like absolutely outraged. We had like endorsements ranging from the Swarthmore Conservative Society, the Swarthmore Anti-Capitalist Collective, and they were all standing behind us. And basically seeing everyone come together, we underestimated how much support we have, and I think we could have even taken more escalated action. So that's probably the biggest lesson I have from this semester.
Totally. Give it up for Swarthmore. I was thinking about this the other day, and I was like, Swarthmore has been running their campaign for 6 years. And it's like only escalating more and more. And that is like so inspiring to me that y'all have like developed a new leadership, are like continuing your campaign, have had like shown so much courage and conviction in the face of an administration that's been really, really stubborn to like make change. So that's amazing. Thanks, Aru. Okay, next I'm going to pass it to Lior from CU Boulder.
Hey y'all, so we had a 2-week escalation that started with a sit-in in Old Main, which was the oldest building on campus, and then we had meetings with administrators every day, and they kept offering us meaningless, like lateral kind of meetings, and we were like, we're not getting anything out of this. So we went to the only locked building in campus, which is the chancellor's office, and brought like 15 or 16 students into there, and then held it down in there for a week and slept over and everything. And I would say that for me, a moment that really stands out where I felt super powerful was when we took the chancellor's cottage, where I walked in with a list of demands after like waiting 3 days for a letter from the chancellor, and then getting one actually before the deadline that we had set, after they said that they couldn't do it at all. But then the letter just being fluff and saying, okay, this is enough for us. And so then we walked in with a letter of demands, and behind me, waiting at the bus stop, were all of the other students, and just watching the administrators' faces change as they saw everybody storm the building. That was an amazing moment. And something that I learned from this cycle of escalation is that I'm a sophomore, and I've been on campus at CU for 2 years, and I've been on the campaign my entire time. Actually, like the first day of classes, I went to the involvement fair and I got involved in Fossil Free CU. And in all of that time, I haven't really thought of myself as a leader of the campaign or as a powerful organizer or person on campus, but this escalation taught me that I am I hold just as much power, if not more, than the administrators, because they're the ones who had to respond to us, especially as we kept the ball in their court and kept it on our terms throughout the cycle. So that was really cool.
Yes, Lior. Oh my God. I can personally attest to how hard that team worked. Oh my God. Over 2 weeks, just like consistently trying to turn people out, doing mad recruitment. So much respect and props to you guys. And thanks so much for sharing. And last but definitely not least, I want to kick it to Theo from the University of California, Santa Barbara, to tell us a little bit about the escalations that have been happening at the UCs.
Hey all, I'm Theo. Really excited to see you all. We had an awesome couple of weeks of escalation, starting with Berkeley, where they sat in with around 50 students, and a couple of them ended up taking this step and getting arrested. And that kind of really inspired UC Davis to take up that mantle and to start up a sit-in of their own with another sort of 100 or so people, maybe 150. And in that time, Berkeley, not content with one sit-in, went into another one at the Regent's Investment Office. So there's 2 going on then. And then UCSB, taking a lot of inspiration from that, started one up the week afterwards. And we had about, by the end of it, around 400 students who attended over that week. And something we didn't really expect to get out of it, but we got out of it, was a endorsement from Chancellor Yang, our campus chancellor, a public endorsement at a press conference, which resulted in 3 more chancellors publicly endorsing the campaign and putting even more pressure on the UC regents. So that was super exciting. And then I guess something that felt powerful for me personally was being in negotiations with our chancellor and realizing that you can really channel the power of 400 people when you're face to face with those administration, and that felt awesome.
Yes, thank you so much, Theo. That's so incredible. 4 chancellors. I'm like, it's only a matter of time. Great work, incredible work. I know how hard those moments were and how intense it is to organize in like high pressure situations where you're in negotiations with people and facing arrest and all the things. So just like really want to send props also to the UC team and everybody who supported them. Yeah, and maybe just like everybody just like, I don't know, do your thing that gives you some affirmation that makes you feel good about however hard you worked on whatever you were doing, whether it was like running a campaign, whether you were doing actions, whatever you were doing, whatever stage your campaign was. Yeah, just like take a second to appreciate yourself and the people that you worked with, because that shit is that's hard. So great. I'm wondering actually if people who didn't share just now, if anybody has like a moment when you saw something this year that inspired you in the divestment movement. Maybe we'll take like 2, maybe 3 people, just a sentence about something you saw this year in the divestment movement that inspired you, or the climate movement.
I'd be happy to speak. My name's Mason. I'm from Missouri. Is it okay if I go ahead?
Oh yeah, go Mason.
Cool. So yeah, we're out in Missouri, which is also known as the land of the climate deniers and climate change deniers. And this year we had stepped up our game a little bit. We've had our campaign going on for 3 years now, and it's been a slow process. What'd you say?
Where do you go to school?
University of Missouri, Columbia. University of Missouri, Columbia. And this year we went to our student government, and after a few rounds of debates, we had a serious opposition that actually came in from the College of Republicans. We had some debates on whether or not we should divest, and officially our undergraduate student body endorsed it. And then we moved on to every single major student government on campus meets for joint session, and we had the Graduate Professional Council, the Legion of Black Collegians, the International Student Council, and like 10 other student governments, all the major ones on campus, all signed on the resolution to divest. So the administration apparently is having some feathers ruffled, and we're getting that stuff in the news.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Mason.
Yeah.
Let's take one more. Helen Kane, are you still on? I feel like there's some exciting news that maybe you might be able to share.
Yeah, I am on the call. My video is not working, but I mean, I guess our news is exciting. Barnard College divested from fossil fuels on March 4th, and that was a nice like moment because we'd worked so hard for it for so many years, but it was also it's really still ongoing for us because Barnard decided to divest from climate change deniers. So the way that they decided to sort of make it feel right to them was they were going to make it intellectual. So like people who deny climate science, the academic institution of Barnard College can get behind demonizing. So it's really still a process there. And I just graduated, so it's really up to the sophomores and freshmen who are still at Barnard and holding strong to really fight the administration on how they define climate change deniers. So when we left, it was really, we were looking at it as if you are still drilling in the ground, you're denying the facts of climate change and what it will mean for the generations after. So, I mean, any drop of oil that you're profiting from is a denial of climate science, but that's really still a battle that's being fought. So it's sort of bittersweet. It doesn't feel like closure, but it was a good win.
Yeah, closure in the climate movement's hard, so we're going to take the victories where we get them. So I felt really excited by that, and it was really funny because I feel like a year ago I was talking to Helen, and she was like, or no, not a year ago, maybe a little bit while ago, she was like, yeah, we're going to divest by April. And I was like, wow, you are really sure about that. And lo and behold, when April came around, Barnard divested. And I know it's an ongoing battle, and I wish y'all well. Cool. Okay, let's keep rolling. Thank you so much for sharing, everybody. And shout outs to all the folks who took action this year. It's been really inspiring to see it. So we're going to do some breakouts, actually, so that we can talk to each other a little bit more and reflect a little bit more on what this last year has been like. So the question I want to ask folks is, what did you learn as an organizer this year? And I'm going to pass it to our tech-savvy human, Erin Bridges, who's one of the campaign coaches for us, who is going to explain how this breakout's going to work.
Hi, everybody. I am going to sort everyone into breakout rooms, like Varshney said. Just make sure that you accept the invitation that is about to pop up on your screen. If you don't, you might end up in like a very strange, random place that you're not going to be able to answer the question in. So just accept it, and we're going to break out. And if you are on like video and your phone separately, you should probably like hang up one of those so that you don't end up in two places at once. All right, so just hold tight. I'm going to press some buttons and we're going to go to our places just a second.
as a campus coach.
Oh, cool. Wow.
In
Yeah.
Massachusetts, sorry.
Oh, nice.
Cool. Yeah, and you?
I'm a second year at UCSB, so
Okay. Cool.
yeah, I've been part of it for my whole 2 years here. So yeah,
Well, congratulations.
thanks.
Were you part of the sit-in and everything then?
Yeah, I slept there for like 3 days.
Wow.
Are you still there?
Sorry, we just came back to the main group.
Everyone's back in the main group, or I think I was talking to Masha?
I think that there's like 30 seconds left before people are automatically back.
Folks can come back on their own, but everyone will be back here in like 15 seconds.
Okay.
Thank you, Erin.
Hi.
Hi, folks. We back? We're back. Woohoo! Wow, that was so great. I loved my little breakout room. Makes me feel like I'm with real people. Classic. Okay, cool. Well, I'd love to hear maybe like 2 or 3 people's reflection from what came out of that conversation. Did anyone have like an aha moment or something that they felt kind of like was particularly different for them, or something that they learned? If you are, you should just go.
Yeah, I can go. My name is Masha. I go to BU. I think something I learned about organizing this year was just about like the moral, how it can take like a really big, I guess, like emotional and spiritual and mental toll on you. Especially like after Trump was elected, like so many people were down, and like everybody kind of, they just like took a step back and like had to reconsider, like, and evaluate, like, you know, where are they, like, you know, where's my place in this fight? And you know, like, then that's just like this year. And then in general, organizing is like, you know, you have like people not showing up to things, like people not doing things. You're like, and like, even if we win, like, is this even going to do anything? Like, are we actually going to reach our goals? And, you know, just, I mean, I'm sure all of you understand. But I found that with dealing with that, just being friends with like the people around me was really, really helpful. And like consistently doing one-on-ones with people who are, you know, you think that like who are your close friends and who you spend a lot of time with. Just like making sure that you're still like getting to know them on that deeper level, and like having open channels of communication so that when you're upset or like, you know, like you want to reflect, to just, you know, like be open about that. So yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Masha. Building relationality and just like emotional, creating space for emotions in our organizing. It's definitely really hard out there.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Anybody else? Something you learned as an organizer this year? Nobody? Sure, there must be somebody. Sure, somebody learned something.
I can go. I'm probably not supposed to. Oh, I was just thinking a lot about how much I've seen students both in this movement and just the left generally coming to the realization that like we're not, like we need to become so much more powerful and like learn and grow so much to rise to this political moment. And it's just been such an incredible thing, I feel like, to see like the culture and different organizations and movements and individuals really like come to this realization and step into their work in such like a powerful and new way, bridging social movements and electoral organizing, bridging, you know, rural and urban, and thinking about sort of like the movement and what we need to do in really new ways. Learned a lot from watching other people step into that and from thinking about those things myself.
Totally. Thanks, Greta.
Ooh, I got a quick thing if we have time for it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I'm Elisa, and you know, I just say a big lesson was just like write stuff down on with a paper and a pencil. Like I feel like oh, I'm thinking about this stuff all the time. Like, I don't need to write things down. But like, whether it's like just their strategy goals that you set at a strategy session, like carry that shit on a piece of paper and like bring it with you. Just, I mean, even when we're like so immersed in this, and maybe we're not always immersed in it all the time because we are busy people, like my own mind is just like, it's really hard. It's as much as I can not get stuck in my mind when especially the political climate is such where you're just constantly bombarded and you can't really stay in your head really well. Just writing things down, like both in terms of like affirmations, in terms of people, like remembering that I have resources, like forgetting that I could like call someone I know who like has total experience with this stuff and I could talk to them, like writing down people I know who I can trust, writing down my goals, writing down like affirmations, and like putting on a piece of paper, like a post-it, on a flip chart paper, all that stuff has been so incredible. When being at my computer, I've just been like smashing my head against it, feeling like I can't do this anymore. I like lost it. I don't know. So just writing things down.
Yes, sometimes it's the simple shit, for sure. Thanks, Elisa. Write it down. I love that. Cool, awesome. Well, I'm gonna keep rolling on to the next step. And I know this year, I feel like part of the reason why I have learned so much is just because of how intense and hard like politics in America have been, and how much they've forced like me and everybody around me to just think think to the greatest of our ability and work to the greatest of our ability, because we're just in like uncharted, like we're in territory that feels really uncharted for me as a young person, and something that I've never experienced before. So we wanted to talk a little bit about the role of divestment in this political moment and what it means. And I think, so as I was saying, like, I think the election of Donald Trump has created like a ton of pain and uncertainty in our lives, and has really shaken up, I know, for me, like how I think about politics in the world moving forward. I remember waking up the next day after he got elected feeling really scared and freaked out. But I also knew that I had a political community, a group of like incredible organizers to figure it out with, and also a movement behind me that totally had my back and was like never gonna let up fighting. And so like Trump has obviously carried through on his promises of like throwing down hardcore for big oil, and he's hiring from a pool of 1%ers and put like climate deniers in charge of stewarding the world and its people, which is crazy and wild. But also, I think there's also like what we've found in these times is that there's a lot of opportunities and ways to move, and ways to expand the climate movement in order to take action and win. And so I think for a lot of folks, taking action in this moment actually means doubling down on divestment. I think divestment was and is one of the most important tools we have in our arsenal to fight back against Trump and his cabinet. I think we need to be organizing and fighting for what we need in the communities that we know best. And some of us are continuing our campaigns to divest from the fossil fuel industry because these campaigns are the best way to build leadership and stigmatize the industry in our context. There are also other campaigns that are continuing and expanding the fight against the fossil fuel industry, like the Dakota Access Pipeline fight and the work to stop fracking. The Reinvest in Our Power campaign will continue to work to build an equitable and just economy and transition us away from the one that we have right now. Sorry. And also, if you're interested in working with Reinvest in Our Power, you should check out the ourpowercampaign.org/reinvest, and we can send that out after this call also. I think we have in previous emails. And we also know that some people are expanding to other parts of the movement. We know that organizing students and young people is critical, and divestment is one way to do this. And in some contexts, students are taking on new work. People are getting really excited about engaging electorally and using their campus as a base for engagement with local or regional politics. I've been a part of creating a new project called Sunrise that brings together the climate movement and electoral organizing, which you should check out at sunrisemovement.org. And I think Donald Trump's election has definitely taught us that we don't have the power that we need right now to win back our government and elect a people's government that's not been corrupted by the industry or extreme wealth. And I'm pretty excited to see what we can build when we take ourselves and our organizing as seriously as this moment is requiring. So yeah, that's a little bit about where we think divestment is and fits into this political context, where we can expand, and where different parts of the climate movement ecology is, and what different types of work there are out there. And I also want to pass it to Greta to talk a little bit about the DSN in particular.
Thanks, Varsh. So recognizing all these things that Varsh was just talking about, how much we've won at the national level and how much new work there is to take on in the youth climate movement, the DSN has decided that we are going to close our organization at the end of the summer. We believe we've accomplished a lot of what we set out to as an organization. We provided coordination for the youth wing of this movement. We supported and developed an incredible cohort of leaders, including all of you. And this cohort of leaders is going to go on to do work in campaigns and organizations across the movement. We already have alumni from the past 5 years of the DSN in major organizations all across the movement. We brought students together from across the country at trainings and convergences to learn from each other and develop strategies and skills. And we coached campaigns to strategically escalate and to win. If you'd like more information about why and how we made the decision to close, you should check out the update section at Students Divest and our website. Or you can feel free to reach out to me or Varsh if you want to talk more about this, talk more about the political moment and kind of like the options that you all have for yourselves and your campaigns and where you go from here. As we've talked about, many of your campaigns are going to continue with divestment this fall, and so we really encourage you all to reach out to each other and support each other with this work. We also would love to recommend folks reaching out to the Responsible Endowments Coalition, to Elisa at Better Future Project, and also joining the Power Shift Network Slack. And that's a great place to connect to young people who are doing climate work across the country. Also a reminder to use the Students Divest listserv, and gofossilfree.com has a lot of new resources that folks can find to support their organizing work. I will copy all of those links and some emails into the chat now for folks to take with them to continue getting some divestment support. And now I'll pass it back to Varsh.
Thank you. Katie, do you have anything that you want to add to that, or do you feel okay?
I think I'll just add, I think the stories that were shared on this call and the stories that I heard in my small group breakout were tremendous. I feel like folks are really doing incredible work, and I feel excited for that to continue. And 350, along with all the other organizations and platforms that Greta just listed, will be available to help folks continue on with escalation and continuing to shift the financial and political wins with the divestment campaign. So this is great work. And also, I don't know if I'm spoiling a surprise that you were saving for the end, Varsh, but this is the 1 year commemorative of also many victories and an end of an escalation. So I want to prompt you to share that.
I totally forgot. Guys, this is the 1 year anniversary of when UMass announced its divestment from the fossil fuel industry. Katie was like, Harsh, it popped up on my Facebook newsfeed. Are you going to tell everybody? And I was like, oh yeah, I got this. I totally forgot. So yeah, many things are possible. Keep working out there. It's super exciting. And so yeah, that was probably when I started my divestment campaign, it was like literally my baby, and I like lived and breathed and not died, but lived and breathed by that thing. And it was really amazing, the escalation that we had last year. So check it out if you didn't hear about it or want to know about it. I'm also happy to talk about that and connect you to organizers there. Cool. So we're done blabbing at you. And if people, I want to give people, what time is it? Let's see, 8:50. Yeah, I mean, let's take if people have questions right now, maybe folks can just drop them in the chat box and we can see if they're questions that make sense to answer right now, or maybe we should just set up another time to talk or whatever. But if you have any questions, drop them in the chat and we'll see if we can answer a couple. Okay, I don't see any questions. Okay, well, that's totally fine. That's great. If you do have questions, Greta gave you some information on that, and you can always reach out to us and we can point you to wherever. I think we'll send out a follow-up email with those resources and also other places in the movement that you can check out to organize in if you're also, just graduated and are not sure where to go in the climate movement next or whatever. I'm happy to provide some of those resources. Obviously, folks like Sean are on this call and are connected to a wide array of work that's happening in the climate movement right now, which is exciting. So yeah, tons of work to do, tons of places to do it. Let's win some shit because, yeah, we need to. So great. I think that's all I have. Maybe what we'll do is just we can get, aw, thanks, Elisa. That's so sweet. That's awesome. Maybe we can all get off of mute and just, yeah, sure. Round of applause for ourselves and the DSN. Get off of mute, though. Get off of mute. Hey. This is so nice. I love this. Thanks, guys. Take care. Be in contact whenever you need. And yeah, amazing, amazing work this year. So proud to have known all of you. Talk soon.
Bye.
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 Bye.